Good morning, students. Today we will continue with chapter number 1, that is Introduction to Chemistry. Previously you have studied that what is chemistry, what are the important branches of chemistry, and what is the importance or the daily life applications of chemistry. Now we will discuss about the landmarks in the history of chemistry and the scientific steps involved for a investigation or experimentation in the field of chemistry. Over the centuries, chemistry has undergone remarkable progress. Chemistry from the very beginning was used in arts and crafts, in metallurgical processes that are uh, used for the extraction of metals from their ores, pottery making, and glass making. A number of scientists in the past decades played important role in order to bring developments in the field of chemistry. And here comes the Greek philosophers. Greek philosophers contributed a lot in number of small ways to the early development of this science. Aristotle, Plato, Democritus. These are the famous Greek philosophers, and they introduced the concepts of elements, atoms, and chemical reactions. They thought that matter was derived from four elements: fire, air, water, and earth. These elements have properties of their own, such as hot, dry, cold, and wet. According to them, fire was hot and dry, earth was dry and cold, water was cold, hot, and wet, and air was cold, wet, and hot. Then comes the Roman period. The Romans developed the chemical arts further. They improved metallurgical processes and introduced enameling of poetry. Their work was all experimental. Then Muslim period. In the history of chemistry, Muslim period is also known as period of alchemists. During the first few centuries of Hijrah, the Muslim scientists made rich contribution to the various branches of science and especially in the field of chemistry. And our Muslim scientists introduced specific methods and experimentations, and we can say that the modern scientific knowledge is based on the contribution of Muslim scholars. The alchemists, Muslim chemists, developed and used many laboratory equipments, like we can see few of them today. These are funnels, beakers, and the crucibles for melting and boiling, retorts for distillation, and weighing balances are the discoveries of Muslim scientists. Muslim scientists also discovered acids, alcohols, and medicines. Jabir ibn Hayyan, generally known as the father of alchemy, he invented experimental methods for the preparation of few compounds. The compounds are nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, and white lead. And about all these compounds we will study in our next chapters. So you must don't worry that what are these nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, and white lead. These are chemical compounds, and in chemical industry these compounds are prepared. So Jabir ibn Hayyan was the first scientist who tells us the method of preparation of these compounds. He also developed methods for the extraction of metals. Extraction of metals is basically the metallurgy, the process of extraction. metals from their ores and dyeing clothes. What are ores? Ores are basically present in the earth from which we dig or extract certain elements or metals. Al-Razi. He was a physician, alchemist, and philosopher. He was an expert surgeon. Surgeon, you know that the specialist in any particular field of medicine is known as surgeon, and was the first to use opium as an anesthesia. What is anesthesia? Anesthesia is a sort of product or substance used to make the patient or the person faint. And what Al-Razi did, he divided the substances into living and non-living origins. He prepared ethyl alcohol by fermentation processes. Ethyl alcohol is also a chemical compound, and the process used to prepare ethyl alcohol is fermentation. Then Al-Biruni is an other Muslim scientist who contributed a lot in physics, metaphysics, and mathematics. Physics, metaphysics, and mathematics are different subjects of science, geography, and history. He determined the densities of different substances. In the field of chemistry, density of a substance is very important whenever you are going to perform any experiments. So, Al-Biruni was the first scientist who determined the densities of different substances. Then comes Ibn Sina. He was famous for his contribution in the field of medicine, medical chemistry, philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy. And remember that the field of chemistry is nothing without medicines. When you talk about making medicines, chemistry is involved over there, and there are a lot of other Muslim scientists which are not included in your course, but they were there to perform different experiments to achieve results in order to add progress in the field of chemistry. In the modern period, a lot of discoveries had been taken place. Few of the modern scientists are listed in your book. That is Robert Boyle. He was considered as father of modern chemistry and was the first to isolate and collected a gas. He formulated a gas law which is known as Boyle's law. So he proposed Boyle's law in order to study the combinations of different gases and the volume and densities of the gases. Another scientist, J. Black, he discovered carbon dioxide. J. Priestley, he discovered oxygen, sulfur dioxide, and hydrogen chloride. These are the different chemical compounds which are very useful and applicable in the field of chemistry. Scheele, he discovered chlorine gas, which is used for dyeing and bleaching and cleansing purposes. So every compound in the field of chemistry has its own applications and uses. Cavendish, he discovered hydrogen gas. Lavoisier, he discovered that oxygen is 1/5 part of air. John Dalton, he proposed the atomic theory of matter. He also gave the concept of atomic weight. And in coming chapters, we will discuss about the John Dalton atomic theory. Gale Lussac, he discovered a relationship between the mass and volume of a gas. And if you have studied the three states of matter, you know that matter exists in the form of solid, liquid, and gas. So it is important to study about all these three states, and these scientists contributed a lot in this regard. Number 9, J. Berzelius, he introduced the symbols of elements based on single or double letters. As you have already seen in your previous primary classes, that hydrogen is represented by H and carbon is represented by capital C. And if we write down the formula of carbon dioxide, we write capital C, capital O, and 2 in the subscript, that is carbon dioxide. So J. Berzelius was the first person who discovered or who produced or introduced the symbols of elements. Now another scientist, Dueling and Pettit, he determined the relative atomic and molecular masses of many substances. So what are relative atomic masses or molecular masses? We will discuss this in chapter 2. Mendeleev was a scientist who described the arrangement of elements, and the arrangement of elements which we have today is known as periodic table. So we describe the periodic arrangement of elements, and what is the periodic arrangement of elements? We will study this in the chapter. Arrhenius, he proposed the theory of ionization. Faraday, he started the laws of electrolysis. Henry Becquerel, he gave the phenomena of radioactivity. J.J. Thomson, he discovered the electrons. Madame Curie, she made the discovery of radium. Here I would like to say that all of these discoveries are not included in your course, but most of the discoveries are included in your course, and you will study them in the next chapters. Like you will study the theory of ionization, law of electrolysis by Faraday, phenomena of radioactivity by Henry Becquerel, and J.J. Thomson discovered the electrons, and the discovery of electron you will also study in your book. Rutherford was a scientist who discovered nucleus of an atom, and Neil Bohr rectified the problems or the weaknesses in the Rutherford atomic model, and Neil Bohr proposed a new improved atomic model. So here we are finishing the discoveries or the contribution of the scientists including in your book. Next, there is a scientific approach in the field of chemistry, that in the field of chemistry, how can you study a definite problem, or if you want to discover something, or if you want to perform any experiment, how will you perform that experiment? You have to adopt or you have to follow certain steps which are important in the field of chemistry, and by following these steps you can easily get the more appropriate results. So what is a scientific method? The method which helps to collect facts on the basis of observations and experiments is called scientific method. The steps involved in scientific methods are observation, hypothesis, theory, scientific law. Now observation. Observation is the basic tool to go forth elaborating a phenomena. You know, observation is mostly made by your eyes or by your presence in a particular environment. It may vary from person to person, like you may observe a different thing and your friend might observe different aspects from the same environment or from the same phenomena. So the observation is a person's own skills, and this is the first step of the scientific approach. The next step in the field of scientific method of chemistry is hypothesis. The explanation of observations and facts is called hypothesis. Like whatever you have observed at the first step, now you will write or explain that, and that will be termed as hypothesis. It may or may not undergo a change or as a result of further investigations and accumulation of more knowledge or facts. The hypothesis may be a theory or scientific law one day, or it may be completely changed. The third thing is theory. When the hypothesis is supported by a large amount of different types of observations and experiments, because after observation you have to perform certain experiments in order to support the observations. So when the experiments and observations are done, then a theory can be proposed. What is a theory? Theory is scientifically acceptable idea Now, what is scientifically acceptable idea? Any idea behind which a number of experiments has been made is known as scientifically approved or approached idea. So a theory is something that is scientifically accepted or a principle to explain a phenomenon. A good theory predicts new facts and unravels new relationship between naturally occurring phenomena. Now the fourth thing is scientific law. If the theory and hypothesis are acceptable on the basis of experiments and there are no more contradictions in the results of different experiments, then a law has produced or proposed in order to give a full stop to that particular observation. A theory which is tested again and again and found to fit the facts and from which valid productions may be made is then known as scientific law or principle. Valid predictions are basically no more experiments are required once a scientific law has produced or proposed. So this is the last step in the scientific method of study. And now I would like you all to please go read each and everything from your book, and this was all about chapter 1. So in the next class we will start another chapter. For this chapter you have to complete your exercises in the book and write down the answers of the questions in your notebook. Thank you very much.